Hey guys, welcome to the Sci Fi Center Live. I believe it's episode 3. Today is March 18th, 2022. It is the 1-year anniversary of Zack Snyder's Justice League, among other things. We got some guests that are on. I got one in the dark room right now. Some of the things we're going to be going over are going to be once again, we have Kimberly Bolcourts. I hope I'm not butchering her name. She should be popping in soon, travel permitting. She's going to discuss the April 9th walk here in Nevada, walk for suicide prevention, and we'll have all the links that you guys can join up for that. We will be talking about the unfortunate passing of one of the most legendary wrestling figures ever, Scott Hall, a.k.a. Razor Ramon. One of the few guys that never held a world title, but one of the still most influential men in wrestling. If you don't know who he is, Google NWO. Paul Wesley being cast as Captain Kirk, or James T. Kirk at least. I haven't read anything where any details other than Variety and Deadline that he's going to be Captain Kirk. I don't know how they're going to work the timeline. This is awful soon to bring him in. Hopefully Brian Master of None will be in with us later on to go about that. We will review the season finale of Star Trek Discovery, which I was quite fond of, and episode 3 of Picard, which was called The Simulation. And you can just guess by the title, that had to do a lot with the Borg and the Borg Queen. So keep in mind, this is still my 3rd stream, so still lots of room for me to screw up. I'm going to show you a clip here of one of my favorite moments of our guest here. And here we go.
The way Zack intended it to be, to see them reach their journey to become, the Justice League, the team that they.
It would have been. And look, like I told you, I have it. So it's just a question of we got to find a way to show it someday. Yes.
I reckon you should show it.
What's that?
I reckon you should show it.
What do you think I should just show it?
Yeah, I think we should.
I reckon
no disagreement here. I think that. I mean, I don't have I can't show the movie right now.
What?
Because it's a little bit to do. But
what?
I mean, there is this. I have this. I don't know if this is helpful.
What? Oh my!
That?
HBO Max!
Oh my god!
Oh my god! Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Oh my god!
Is this stereo?
Very nice. Get the hell out of here! Oh my god!
So that's
a little thing there,
It's a little thing. It's not to be too what do you call it?
Don't get too hyped up about it.
Yeah. I mean, the good news is there's one little piece of bad news, and that is that
It's happening.
It'll probably be in 21. The actual release.
All right, so let me mute that there.
But we're doing it. So get ready.
All right, so let me introduce you the guy that you might have seen in the lower left-hand corner of that clip who lost his fedora about 5 seconds into the announcements. He's got his own stream. He's one of the reasons why I'm even doing this. Him and Dave, the Film Junkie, are the people that I followed along trying to get as much information as possible when this movie, Zack Snyder's Justice League, was just a myth. And they and a handful of other people did a lot of the groundwork and a lot of the footwork to make it happen. Here is Chris Wong Swinson. What's going on, man?
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, I'm doing okay. You gave birth to this. I was trying to get Junkie on too, but he's doing his own stream later on tonight of the full movie. Apparently, I might even watch that. But how have you been, man?
Oh, good. How are you? That's amazing. I can't believe that was how long? How many years is that?
That was a year and
I forget.
almost 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
Yeah, it was May of 2020.
My God.
And I remember because I started off watching the Vero stream.
Yeah.
And then I was getting ready for work, and I got off that stream and got on YouTube, and you were doing your own.
Right.
And so I watched yours live. So I was watching live when that all went down, when that whole thing. And like I said, you screaming into the other room to your wife.
Yeah.
Like I said, that was during a very awful year, which 2020 was for a lot of people. That was one of the highlights. Not just the announcement, but just that weight, that weight being lifted. What were you going through then? I mean, it was like, obvious. What were you feeling then?
I was like, I mean, it's been what, 2017. That was like 3 years. About 3 years of just wondering if it's ever going to happen. Wondering if are we crazy? Was all those, these clues and hints or whatever that Zack posted, does that mean we're getting it or not getting it, or are we still fighting or we're not fighting? I mean, it was just a roller coaster ride, I'd say. And then, up to that point when it's finally happening, it's like it's real. Like he's not. In fact, I actually had I was second guessing because it sounded like he was gonna say, "Hey, look, I don't have any." He faked it, man. He punked us. It was like at that time, and that little moment, I felt like, because I kind of knew it was already gonna happen prior to that stream, but it's never real until it actually happens, And so once he actually said it, it's like Santa Claus bringing, like, if Santa Claus showed up at the door, hopefully there's no kids watching this. The Santa Claus showed up at the door, like, I believe in you. You're there. You're real. And here's your present.
You went to the whole foil hat thing. I mean, I would watch your live streams, and there would literally be a foil hat sitting in the background in your old location.
I still have it right there. It's in a glass case. That hat.
Did you get it signed by Zack yet?
The foil part has Zack's name on it. Yeah. Because when we went to the directors, the art center, the art center, and we were standing in line. We each had one thing to sign by him. I brought the BVS Blu-ray to sign by him, and my wife held the tinfoil hat, which was actually given to me by Russ Barnes. I don't know if you know Russ Barnes. He's also a fan of the movement and everything, and he's also, he was also there, so he gave that to me personally. So she held that, and she gave it to him to sign. He's like, I know what this is.
A lot of stuff had to get back to him, but I remember a year ago today, we screened it here because I gathered some people here. A lot of them didn't know what was going on behind the scenes, and then some of them did. So we got kind of a crosshatch. And I remember all the sites were crashing as we were trying to watch this 4-hour movie. Right. And when we finally got through to it, it was worth the wait. I mean, as I'm watching this movie, it was bittersweet because half of me was happy that this happened. Obviously, we got, we finally got the White Buffalo. It wasn't a myth. We were like Mulder and Scully. We found the alien. Yeah. The other half of me was like, we just went through a whole lot of mess. If these things that they took out, had they left them in the movie, would be changing the trajectory of where we're sitting even today.
Yeah.
If people would have, and the same thing goes with BBS. In my opinion, the reason why Matt Reeves was able to make the type of movie that he was able to make was because of the mistakes made with BVS. When Zack went to them and said, this is how long the movie is supposed to be, they said no. And I think there was a price paid for that. And then when Matt Reeves came to them and said, this is how long my movie is, they said yes. When Zack came to them and showed them a darker toned, not too happy, Adam West style Batman, they didn't say no necessarily, but they didn't really give him the support that they really gave. What Matt Reeves gave, what could have been the most divisive Batman, it was Robert Pattinson. It's really dark, it's really violent, and it's 3 hours. They didn't stop him. They didn't stop him from doing it. And I think a lot of people, they're angry about, well, why does Matt Reeves get this? To me, I think it's what Matt Reeves was able to do was a byproduct of what we went through. And so I look at it as a positive.
Same goes for James Gunn, I would say. Like, same goes for James Gunn.
Yeah,
what David Ayer went through, you know, they learned from that and gave James Gunn whatever he needed to do. So,
yeah, I think these are baby steps. I'm hoping with new management we get a different perspective. But there's also a chance that, you know, just some of these guys to be around for a little bit longer. The worst case scenario is they've opened up to a different way of thinking. Because this movie we just saw with the Batman, I've always contended it would not have happened in 2016. It just would not have happened.
It wouldn't. Yeah.
No.
Yeah, they throw more jokes in it, and they try to lighten it up, and it would be cut down. It would have been like 2 hours or something,
which would have been tragic. I mean, what did you think of the Batman?
Oh, I loved it. I think it's one of the best DC films I've seen. And I could be more biased because I'm actually very much a fan of noir, and I love noir films. I love detective films. I love drama in which they're just talking to each other. So for me, I thought it was a great balance of a detective story and a noir film and a suspense thriller, with the added superhero action pieces here and there. But it was good. I really enjoyed it, and it's probably one of the best Batman movies. I might even say, for some people, is maybe more enjoyable than Michael Keaton's. I'd say, even though Michael Keaton for me was my Batman for a long time.
Yeah, it was my Batman. I mean, we're roughly in the same. I'm a little bit older, but we're in the same Generation X type of a deal. So I saw that Batman in the theater. It's my favorite overall Batman movie, but not my favorite Batman.
Yeah.
So I mean, I still love Ben Affleck's Batman because it represents the Dark Knight Returns.
Oh yeah.
The look and the feel. So it's always going to have a special place. But overall Batman movie, the solo Batman movie, it's by far the best one. It's the first one with detective elements in it, in my opinion. The violence was like a symphony of destruction that I felt all the stress I had that week going away as he's beating the hell out of these fools. And I haven't been able to see it again because it's just too much going on. It's for a 3-hour movie over and over again. Yeah. But in 45 days or less than 45 days, we will have it on HBO Max. So
that's true.
I do have a phone to pick you. Well, you know what it is.
Go ahead.
Listen, man. Saturday nights. I bought in to our get-togethers, and I'm in a place in Vegas. I got all kinds of stuff. We always joke about the strippers and the drugs, everything. Whenever you didn't do a stream, I went off the deep end. I'm now doing this just this once a week, and how I've jammed it up. It's no sound or whatever. The lighting's always. I understand now. I understand, but I'm still upset.
Oh yeah. No, I understand. And I think as we get a little bit, I think as maybe when my 5-year-old finally gets to school, and he gets a lot of the energy out, and he starts, learning more about Minecraft with the other kids, I may start up the Saturday stream again.
I will rejoice with super chats and everything else. It was fun. It was fun. It was like, it was like the barometer. I knew my work day was over, and it was just no particular topic, just rolling through the questions. But like I said, I understand as I get better with this, as we start to add more and I start to get used to StreamYard, which was easy, but not easy at the same time. So like sharing screens, like 3 weeks ago, I couldn't have shared a screen without kicking us both off the stream. So I have a new appreciation for the whole YouTube thing, how it works, the dynamics of it, the lighting. Like right now, we're eventually I'll end up in a different part of the store, the Star Wars section, where I'll have that backdrop behind me and the light works instead of turning me blue or green. I just can't set it up here because I'm still in an open retail area. Wow. But how has creating content been for you since then, since you stopped the live stream and you've cut it up into segments?
It's been actually growing quite phenomenally. I'm pretty surprised and shocked, but also I've kind of gone into a lot of the Power Rangers stuff because actually I've been a big fan of Power Rangers before this whole Snyderverse thing, and it died. Like I had Power Ranger videos, but it up till the 2017 movie, and then it just died. Like nobody cared about Power Rangers anymore at that time. But then when
you're mid-90s, you're mid-90s too late.
Yeah, right. But then when the new Hasbro takeover, Saban sold it off, and they're gonna put it on Netflix, and they're talking about the new films and stuff. I guess people started getting exciting. I just seem to have come into an audience that really want to know more, really want something different, something fresh and new. And surprisingly, a more mature Power Rangers, I guess, because we as kids grew up with that, and now we're like full-fledged adults. We're like in our 40s, so we're like, oh, we love that, but it's maybe something a little bit more mature. So that's what I've been doing. But I've also been following up on DC here and there. Of course, that's been difficult now as they've kind of delayed everything, all the movies pushed back. So
what are your hopes for this merger that's about to be completed here next month?
I really hope, I hope that they're more open to ideas. I mean, I'm not the type who's like, I only want the Snyderverse. I want that and nothing else. Like that takes over everything. I believe that it can be in addition to what we have now, because if the executives that we don't like go away, that doesn't necessarily mean the directors and the people who actually create these movies will go away. And I don't want them to go away. I want them to keep, making their own thing. And with this whole multiverse idea, and everybody gets to make their own thing, we could have Justice League 2 and 3 on HBO Max. I mean, why not? It just expands the brand and expands the universe, and it's another segment, another universe, another multiverse that we could tap into and tell stories on this side without it affecting Matt Reeves, the Batman, without affecting James Gunn, whatever he's doing in Peacemaker. So that's, I'm hoping that they're open to that idea, because right now, whatever happens right now, nothing will happen unless several of these people kind of just step down.
Step down. That's the kindly soft word for it.
Right.
Yep.
I'm trying to be nice about it, but I want to say
transition has been the word I've been using. Transition.
Right, transition. Never good. Transition away, and give those decision-making powers to people who are more open to the idea of expanding and I guess bringing in, essentially letting Zack Snyder come in and finish his vision. So
that's all. Yeah. All right, man. Well, I got the AFSP lady. She's in my warehouse right now. Hi. She can't see me. She can't see you, but I want to make sure I don't X her out. But hey, man, this was important to have you on. The next one will be my other YouTube parent. I was going to do a graphic of you guys coming together and then basically giving birth to me, but that's pretty much what happened. So it's been a great influence. Your content is great. I'm going to share your link in the chat here. So I'm pretty sure if they're watching me right now, they have to know who you are, but just in case, I don't want to mess around. And there's your link. Check out his videos. He's got really cool content, and not just DC content. He's has a bunch of other cool content in there. And when he returns to his live stream, that's when I'll be jumping back on board with him. But thank you, Chris. Thanks for the content. Thanks for coming on today. Thanks for making time for me.
Thank you. Congratulations on your channel.
All right. Thank you, man. Congratulations on your continued success, dude.
All right. Thanks.
All right.
Bye.
Okay. The next guest I have on is a very, very important guest. Her name is Kimberly Burkholz. She's with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, the local chapter here in Las Vegas. And let me see if I can do this without messing up. Hey, Kimberly, how are you doing?
Hi, William. How are you? I'm good. Thank you.
I'm doing great. Just for a lot of people who do not know about the basic mission of AFSP, can you go ahead and give us a brief synopsis, a brief description of what you guys do, where the fundraising leads to, and everything like that?
Yeah, of course. So we are the Las Vegas chapter of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. In Nevada, we have the Reno and the Las Vegas area. So we do cover 2 areas right now. The American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, we call it AFSP. Yep, there we are. We go out and we fundraise, we educate, we advocate, we fight for suicide prevention in any way that we can. When we do fundraisers like the walk, like you were talking about, then we are able to keep half of that money here locally, and then we send half up to our national office. So we're able to make changes in our local community, whether it be, fighting for change with our laws, educating, hospitals, schools, workplaces. We do lots and lots of different things. We provide resources, and most of all, we provide hope.
Okay, now I'm going to put the screen for the walk up here. Real quick question. I don't know if you're a counselor or if you have gone through the training, but just as a regular layman, just as somebody, because I had to go through suicide prevention training when I came back, because I combat that and everything else. And as NCOs, they needed us to be aware of everything around us and the changes that happened to people that we knew. What are the things that an average person who hasn't gone through the counseling, who hasn't, the untrained eye, what are the things that they can look for to possibly prevent an event from happening?
There's a lot of different things that you can look for, and one of the biggest ones is just to watch for change in that person. There's a lot of times when we will see the depression or the sadness, and people will talk about it and say, "Oh God, I'm not even worth being here," things like that. And then there's also the people who will show happiness about it. Maybe they've made a decision and they've been in this rut for so long, and now all of a sudden they're unexplainably happy. So a major change in characteristics is a big thing to look for. That was one I got involved because I had lost my brother to suicide in 2017, which that's what prompted me to get involved. And that's one that I saw in him that I wish that we could go back in time and kind of realize. He went through this time where he was going through bipolar and depression, and he was always, a hermit crab and was staying to himself and making these comments. And then a week later, he was the happiest that he could be. And after, doing research and seeing all the different, facts that there are in regards to this, then that was him making his decision and being at peace for it. So a big one that we say is just watch for, a major change in character like that. Of course, it talking about it, they'll mention it. It could be a joke. It could be serious. They could say, "Hey, I should just go kill myself." Ha ha ha. They may say it like that. But we always say if someone's talking about it, they're thinking about it. So we should take it seriously either way.
I've had incidents where, and this is another question, Matthew, where I will be on Facebook and I'll be scrolling down and I'll see a comment that concerns me. And I've been a weirdo. I will have contacted that person just to make sure. Sometimes they're just having a bad day. Sometimes they're joking, but I can never take the chance given some of the experiences I've had around me. How important is monitoring social media and those type of behaviors on social media in regards to possibly preventing an event as well?
There's a lot of good and a lot of bad to social media. The bad comes when you're scrolling and all that you see is everybody's happy, everybody's in love, everybody has the best life going for them. So that tends to kind of poke a hole in people a little bit and question themselves and, get depressed. But then on the flip side, how you said, sometimes people will be vocal about it and they'll make a comment, they'll make a post, and that kind of gives us that chance to intervene. So if they're going through, that moment of crisis, then we can reach out and, hey, why don't we try calling the suicide prevention hotline? Why don't we maybe do the text line? Why don't we see if your sister can come over and maybe hang out with you a little bit while you go through these feelings? So it's positive and negative. There's definitely 2 sides to it.
Now, another thing that's important, because this is one of those experiences I've had, how important is it for the general public to know that it does not take any particular catastrophic event to set this off?
Yeah, a lot of people, when we do our educational trainings, we kind of use an iceberg as, our metaphor. So what people see on the top is this little poke, and then underneath, you don't see this huge iceberg that has been growing for a long time. It's proven, scientifically proven that people will be going through depression. They may have childhood trauma. They may have things like a loss of a job. They have all these things that are coming together to create this emotion. And it's not just that one thing at the tip of the iceberg that we're looking at. So it is very important to know that it's not just one thing. It's a lot of things that have come together to make them feel this way. And a lot of times it is, you know, a medical issue that's also leading that as well. So.
Now, tell me about the walk on April 9th. I'm going to go ahead and I'll be putting the link in the bio and everything else and spreading it on all of our social media as well. But go ahead and tell me about it, what April 9th is about.
Yes, so April 9th is our Out of the Darkness community walk. We do it out here in Las Vegas every year. We do it out in Reno. We will have ours at Sunset Park this year. We have a goal to raise $150,000. We usually raise $100,000. This year we thought we were going to try to go a little bit higher, so we're pushing the limits with that $150,000 goal. We have raised a little over $60,000, so we're getting really close to it. We've had some amazing sponsors come in. You know, we've had Zappos, who recently gave us $10,000. You know, we have Walmart, who sponsors us, Bumblebee's Air Conditioning, and then, of course, local places like HPN, you know, different lawyers and different people come out and support us. So it's very important to see so many different areas come together to support us. The walk itself is going to be a place for healing, a place for people to kind of deal with their grief, to get resources, to see that they're not alone, and to be able to walk and be around people who are going through the same thing as them. So it's for myself, it's a very mixed emotion of, you know, I'm sad that I'm here because I lost my brother, but it's amazing to see how many people are fighting to change, you know, what's going on. So it's a very bittersweet feeling.
I understood. I have the link to the walk. It also leads to the AFSP site, so the hotline and everything is there. And plus, like I said, we're going to put it on our media because we'll be helping sponsor and doing whatever we can as well. If somebody is listening to this stream either live or down the line and they are going through something, they're on the fence, given your experience, given your skill set, what would you have to say to that person right now?
You know, there's one thing that everybody tries to do, and everybody tries to help by giving their own advice. And we do have to remember that we're not the professionals. So, you know, we have to kind of lead that person to help. We have to get that person to get professional mental health resources. We kind of gauge their level of crisis by asking, do you have a plan to take your life? And if they say yes, then you can say, what is your plan? What is the method that you're thinking about using? You can ask them these things, and it's not going to provoke them to do it. It's already in their head, and it just gives us a way to be able to figure out how much crisis we're in. So if they say yes to these questions, yes, I'm thinking about it. Yes, I have a method right here that I'm going to use. That's when you may need to rush over to their house if it's safe for them, or I'm sorry, safe for yourself. You may need to, you know, call police to help you a little bit. You may need to rush them to the emergency room, or, you know, help them get help that way. Try calling the you know, suicide prevention hotline. Try texting the crisis text line. There are a lot of different ways to reach out for help. So you kind of have to gauge which one of those would work for you. You know, and when you call the suicide prevention hotline, I think a lot of people don't understand that it's for anyone. You know, if you call me and tell me that you're struggling and you are thinking about taking your life, I can call them and get resources and get answers. So they'll kind of, you know, walk you through it as well. If you're scared and you're worried about someone, then feel free to call and chat with them, and they can look up local resources for you.
Okay, Nat, read that number. If I think I got it right here because I've had it ready. 1-800-273-TALK is
That's correct.
Correct number. And I'm going to put that in the chat because, like I said, I have dealt with it on I went through most of my life without ever having it affect me. When I went overseas and when we came back, and then when I was dealing with people who came back, and I was dealing with people there, it became such a, I don't want to say pandemic, it became such a situation to where it was mandatory for us and our unit to go through a very different type of suicide training. With the military, a lot of it is the same, but a lot of it is different because there's trigger incidents. Whereas we're a civilian, it was different because there's just normal everyday things or normal everyday depression. With some of the people that you're meeting in the military, even if you didn't serve with them in that particular zone, you're still interacting with them once they reintegrated into society. And there's a lot of stuff that we had to look out for. And then all of a sudden I had coworkers. One day they were okay. I mean, and then when I would hear about it, I didn't see any signs. And then as you start to hear about the event, you're like, okay, that I should have seen, that I should have seen.
Yeah.
So the most important thing for me is just to make everybody aware, just to keep an eye out for people.
Yeah,
You know?
and we have a lot of respect for our military. You know, we commend you guys for what you guys do, and we would love to be able to help you guys a little bit more. So that's what's so important too. You know, we know that we lose 22 veterans a day, and it's something that, you know, we would love to change and work with you guys on as well. So veteran resources are very important to us. We know that more than half of suicides are because of firearms. So, you know, we want to promote gun safety and things like that. We're not anti-gun. We just promote gun safety. So you can keep your guns, just make sure that you're safe with them, you know, and talk to each other and get the help that you need. Another thing too is that, you know, like with yourself being a veteran, most of you guys are big, tough men, and you kind of have to break down that wall and be okay to talk to each other.
All right, great. Hey, listen, you are an asset to this program. I say that at the same time, I wish you weren't. I wish you didn't have to be, but it's good that you've turned your grief into something that is, like I said, however many people listen to this, I hope they take the hotline that we posted in there. I hope that people who can donate. I hope people who can show up on April 9th show up. And like I said, I will be in touch with you guys after this to do whatever the Sci Fi Center can. And thanks for coming on, Kimberly.
Thank you. And it's free to register too. I know you have the link up for everyone. It's free to register. Go ahead and sign up and come down and see us and spend the day with us. It costs nothing for you to do so.
All right. I will see you there, Kimberly.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks for coming on.
All right. Bye.
Bye. And now I'm going to add, on a much more lighter note, I'm going to add my fellow geek, Brian, master of something. What's going on, Brian?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Oh, that was amazing. It was really nice to have her on. That was great.
Yeah, I think that might be, it is, since I've started, this is only the third episode, that might be the most important thing that we've done. That might be the most important thing we do. Yeah. Anything that can help people, you know, have that conversation.
Times are tough, man. I just have somebody close to me witness something horrible. So like, no, I've been trying to send out my thoughts and, you know, appreciation as much as I can, you know. So
yeah, and it's tough because it's all of a sudden, like I said, I went the majority of my life without ever having, you know, it happened in my circles until all of a sudden it's like, wow. And it got to the point where like if somebody walked up to you, did you hear about so and so? I'm like, oh, that's the worst way to begin a conversation. So obviously a lot of, I mean, we were discussing the 1 year anniversary of Zack Snyder's Justice League. But if that is the reason you got on to this particular program, AFSP, that's fine. However you got on, that's cool. I just hope people stick with it. And even after the anniversary, because we've been working with them throughout the year and before, even throughout last year. And plus we, you know, I donate to causes in the military, and there's a bunch of hodgepodge organizations that do what they can, but they're a national organization, and their organization, wherever they get, half of it goes to the local chapters. So it's a really well-balanced organization, and it's super important. Like I said, I don't know the mental state of everybody that's going to listen to this stream, but there you go. You know, there you go.
Oh,
so let's get into some deep stuff.
Let us get into some Star Trek.
Yeah, Discovery season finale. I loved it.
I did, but
I wish 10C. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody. I wish 10C would have been something more familiar to me.
True.
Than it was. That's my only knock.
It would have been better if it had been a callback to a previous species of some sort, to where they'd had made contact with it before, but they, you know, it got lost in the annals of history or something like that. That would have been interesting. See, there were certain aspects of it that made me, and this is going to be horrible, and this is why I can't stand what the fandom menace did to Star Trek. Okay, there were two parts of that show where it was just like, I know exactly why they're going to be upset, and it's like, I mean, it didn't personally bother me at all. You know, I even recognized it when it happened. I was like, oh, okay, not a problem. But it's like that was the thing that kind of just took away from the joy of that episode, because I loved it. It was great.
Yeah.
I mean, it was probably the best season finale Discovery's had, because
he was definitely the most complete one.
Well, yeah, exactly. It didn't leave it it doesn't necessarily leave it at a cliffhanger, and it's not a dread cliffhanger. I think that's the main thing, because a lot of times that's what Discovery handles. It's like the cliffhangers, yes, but they tend to be like, oh my gosh, who's gonna die?
Yeah.
But this one was more like a hopeful cliffhanger, in a sense that it's like, oh, we have a bright future here, and all you had to do was ask. And that's kind of what I liked about the end, and that's kind of what I
Yeah.
exactly. And it was what I was hoping for with this show, is that they would have, like, the whole 10C thing would be how it brought the Federation back together, and I think it made tremendous strides in that direction. Like,
character development. This one episode did probably more character development than probably the three previous scenes, especially with Torka.
Oh yeah, Tarka, and
Yeah, Torka.
well, and not only that, but the relationship between Colbert and God dang it, I always forget his name, the engineer, Stamets. So it's like they actually like mined that relationship this time around. Like, you got more of it, and I'm not opposed to seeing more Wilson Cruz on camera. Like, he is amazing.
He's the lens that we view the show through. He's us, basically. I feel in a way.
Yes, 100%.
Best performance though is Tig Notaro. Reno,
hands down. I was just like, Jet Reno is one of my favorite characters on that show. I wish they would use her more often.
And I love her advice, that not just this episode, the previous episode, her advice that she gives. This isn't just advice that you can use in a science fiction backdrop. This is advice people can use, period.
They can live by.
This is, so I loved it. I mean, I like the Admiral a little bit more. Each more time I see Admiral Vance, I like him more.
Yeah, and it's like, if they turn him into an evil admiral, I'm going to be pissed.
I don't think they can.
Yeah,
I don't think they can. There's
I don't want to see that.
If they'd have done it at the beginning when he was a little bit cold, but you have to understand where he was coming from, because of the sheer fact that there's this ship. It's 1,000 years old. We're dealing with the burn, and here you come. So I understood where they were coming from then, but I love the way, Starfleet has just, we're watching something that you and I didn't get to watch at the beginning. We weren't alive in the 60s when Starfleet was created and developed and developed. Now we're watching out of the ruins of an old Starfleet. We're watching them come through. Let me, before I even go further, I think I might have make sure I'm not missing anybody in the chat. That's one thing I got to get better.
Yeah, I'm kind of terrible about that.
Yeah, hold on.
Or a producer in the back just kind of clicking on the chat for you.
I'm gonna have to bribe somebody. Let's see. All right, cool. Just wanted to make sure all my links go in. Guys, make sure that you click those AFSP links if you need them, or if you just want to spread the word about some of the local events. We have a walk here in Las Vegas on April 9th, but if you check that national site that we posted the links to, there's walks everywhere. Pretty much every state in the union is going to have some walk. Also, if you need that that hotline, copy and paste that. Copy and paste that for yourself. Copy and paste that for a friend. So no, we didn't miss anything. I like the way this show isn't necessarily completely linear. It does deal with a situation of the week, but it still has a overarching theme. However, Strange New Worlds, which we'll jump into, we will have a Alien of the Week type of situation like we did with Old Trek. I'm okay with that too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Kind of wondering what the hell Paul Wesley's going to be doing as Captain Kirk.
I'm intrigued.
I mean,
well, I'm wondering. Yeah, are they going to recreate some aspects of the original series? That's why I'm like,
well, go ahead.
I feel like they're walking into somewhat dangerous territory. Because
Yeah,
if
hold
they
on, let me,
transfer, if something bad happens to Pike in that first season,
well, okay, that's the thing though. We know something is going to happen to him. We know that.
true,
We know
but
the
you think they
history.
would let it go a little bit further before they would full on do that, though.
Yeah, the second season, I'm surprised, which means, and this is their long term season. This isn't like Picard where we only got 3 seasons. This is a long term thing for them. So something. Here's what I think: something happens to Pike. Obviously, we know what happens to Pike, but it doesn't happen in the historical way that we know. And I always thought Q or somebody of that ilk would divert what happens to him, since he knows, because from the fact that was one of the best episodes of Discovery, where he sees his future and he sees
Yeah.
himself in that chair, he, by the virtue of he knows what's going to happen, he's already altered the future. So we're already altering canon. So I would love to see him avoid that or have that happen to him and some way out of it and forward. And if they're bringing in Kirk, are they bringing in Kirk as an ensign? Is he going to be a captain, or is he coming in to take over? If he's coming in to take over and we're still going on, is this going to be a Pike show, or is this going to be? I got questions, man. So
yeah, that's where that's why I'm like, I have questions, because what does it show on his sleeve? What's what's
okay?
Sleeve
It
look like?
shows captain on his sleeve, but is that a picture that they just came up to with, where they just, you know how they make
Photoshopped it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, it's in the deadline. So look, so if you look at his sleeves, he has three plus the middle broken one. That's captain. But is that his head on it? I don't know. Okay,
Yeah, it's
so
probably
let's see.
Anson Mount with dude's
That's
head
what I'm
on
saying. So, all right. So Paul Wesley is joining the cast of Star Trek. I can't talk today. Star Trek: Strange New Worlds. Wesley is starring in the iconic role of James T. Kirk in the second season of the Paramount Plus drama series. The role best known for starring William Shatner. The casting comes ahead of the launch of season 1, which premieres in May, on May 4th, I think. A second season of the show was renewed in January. Strange New Worlds follows Captain Christopher Pike, Anson Mount, Science Officer Spock, Ethan Peck, and number 1 Rebecca Romaine, Una Chen Riley. I guess that's her real name now. We have 50 years without knowing that. As they explore new worlds around the galaxy, their adventures predate Captain Kirk's ever stepping foot aboard the USS Enterprise. The cast also includes Jess Bush as Nurse Christine Chapel, Christina Chong as, I'm going to tear this up, Laan Noonien Singh, Celia Rose as Golding, Cadet Nayode Uhura, Melissa Navia as Lieutenant Ortegas, and Babs. Wow, dude. All right.
Wow, those are some pretty indiscernible names.
Olusan
Olusaman.
Mukan as Dr. Mbinga. That I can pronounce because I've seen that name before. Wesley is previously one of the leads in Vampire Diaries, which I never watched, and starred in Tell Me a Story for Paramount Plus predecessor CBS All Access. He can also be seen in Shudder, Film History of Evil alongside Stephanie Beatriz. I have seen that. He has also directed episodes of Roswell, New Mexico, Shadowhunters, and Legacy. All right, and that's pretty much all we need to say that. Now, I mean, I like this, and I'm wary of it at the same time.
Yeah, that's why I said I kind of don't know what to think quite yet. Like, this is one of those wait and see situations, and I think I have the patience to do it on this time around, because I don't want to ruin my experience with this show. So it's like,
yeah, I kind of don't want to know what's coming, because with all the internet and everything that we have, knowing what's coming. I mean, I remember, like I said, we're going to get into Scott Hall pretty soon, and he was what he did and what the NWO did was back before the internet was very prevalent. We had it, but we didn't have it like we had it now. We had dirt sheets, but they were very slow moving. There wasn't really, a lot. We weren't really behind the scenes on everything. So when things happened, we were surprised that they happened. Things could have been pre-taped. And because we didn't have the internet and text and all this other stuff, it could have been, I remember when Hogan lost, I think that wasn't Saturday Night's Main Event Live. That was like a week or so ahead. But we watched it live on Friday night, on Primetime Special. But with Star Trek and everything else, and even comics, movies, everything, we want to know everything. It's just in our nature. So I'm going to suspend my disbelief for it. I love Anson Mount as Captain Pike. I love. I'm glad that this character got, beyond Bruce Greenwood, got a chance to shine at his prime. And this is you're seeing
True.
Pike at his prime. So I am I'm waiting. Look, the guy looks like him. I mean, he doesn't need to look like William Shatner, but he looks like he could be. He looks
Well,
like
he kind of looks like a mix between the two, and by the two I mean Shatner and Pine.
Yeah, and Pine really did a lot of mannerism work to make sure that his cadence in his voice fit James C. Kirk or fit William Shatner. So I am wondering how this guy will do. But hey, like I said, I'm looking forward to it. And then Scott Hall, man, we're gonna move into dude. Guy goes in for hip surgery, and I didn't realize how bad his health was, but he ends up dying, having 5 heart attacks in a span of 48 hours, as a complication to
Hello.
Yeah,
Hey, RJ,
I could put you in before. I was kind of.
No, it's all good. I had to run and do a couple errands, but yeah, glad to be here talking Star Trek, right?
Yeah. We just wrapped up where we were talking about James Wesley's, Paul Wesley's insertion into the cast next season. I mean, we haven't even gotten the first season yet, and we're already. This is what I like. They have enough faith and stick to itness in these shows that we know where they're going. I already know that Picard's going to end in season 3. I have no problem with that.
Oh no, absolutely not.
But I also have no problem with knowing that Discovery season 4 is coming. Our season 5. We have a season 5. We're probably going to get all 7 seasons. It's done well enough. Enough buzz around Strange New Worlds to where we know we're getting a second season, and we're already filming it and casting it. So I love Star Trek right now. I know old Trek fan is literally chewing on his Kirk shirt right now. All right, but like I said, I'm that guy. I'm in that same generation as old Trek fan. And what do I want more? I want more of Trek, or I want that 12-year span between 2004 and 2016 where wonder if Trek's ever going to get on TV again. So what do you think about, RJ, the casting of Paul Wesley as Captain Kirk?
I need to see, I don't know. It's hard for really any actor to capture what William Shatner did, obviously, just because it's so unique. It's just gonna be one of those cases of wait and see the kind of performance he gives in the show. But I mean, hopefully they use him in the best way possible.
I mean, at least they're not like Luke Skywalker in him. Yeah, it could be worse.
Yeah, they're not putting a space seed
de-aged.
Yeah, on someone else's moving body. Yeah, that would. I don't. Do you think Trek fan was uprising these days over anything? You do that, I might join old Trek fan. I was
talking about the Stacey Abrams cameo, and people were freaking out. I was laughing. I was just like, because I saw it. As soon as I saw it, I was like, oh man, old Trek fans gonna be.
Some people haven't watched it.
Pissed. No, I won't tell them where it's at, but
it's a lifetime Star Trek fan getting a chance to be on a Star Trek show. Doesn't matter that she's running for government. Doesn't matter that she's a politician. She's a Star Trek fan first, in her own words. She's a geek too. She's not just a surface Star Trek fan. She's a true on. She was on an interview somewhere talking track. I'm like, wow, this woman, and she knows. And everybody who reaches, who doesn't want to be on Star Trek? You think if I'm going to turn down it, I could be a busboy in 10 forward for 2 seconds and I'd take it. Of course she's going to take it if it's offered to her, and that's inspiring, man.
It was pretty awesome.
I saw the outrage, and I'm like, you know what? Just stop. All right. When it comes to Trek outrage, I've grown selective Ferengi ears to it because, some of it, if you listen to it long enough, it's like, the hole in your ship getting bigger and bigger and bigger. It's going to go down to the bottom. So
eventually it's going to sink.
It's going to sink, and your nice yacht is going down. Back to Scott Hall. Scott Hall dying at the age of 63. Listen, somebody made a meme.
Tragic.
Yeah, it pissed me off because somebody made a meme of all these guys going to heaven. Not one of them reached the age of 70. The oldest one on the list was Dusty Rhodes at 69. There's just too many people on that list that are gone too soon with all these health issues. And it just, I mean, I was rooting for him because they took him off life support, and I'm like, they said he's breathing on his own, and then that about an hour later, that was it.
See, I'm wondering if they're gonna, check his brain out afterwards, and for CTE, because part of me is wondering, like, I know dude like went through hell just in his life. Like, if you've ever listened or watched a documentary about Scott Hall, I mean, like the dude, like he shot a guy and like killed a dude, but it was like he was a bouncer in a club and it was self-defense and or something along those lines. But like that really affected him throughout the rest of his life. And yeah, no, between everything that man did to his body, the depths of what happened to his body. Like if anybody's watched the Resurrection of Jake the Snake Roberts documentary,
wow,
please watch it.
Yeah,
you'll
it's really
see
good.
what shape freaking Scott Razor freaking Ramon is in. He gets rolled into that house in a wheelchair.
Yeah,
he could barely move.
Jake the Snake's another one who I thought I would be seeing a headline for years. He was in a spot where I didn't think he was going to make it, and because he had his own addiction issues, he had painkiller issues, and just once again the wear and tear on your body. You can really criticize people and say, just say no to drugs, just stay off the juice, stay off this, stay off that. But when you're working 260, 270 days a year, traveling with no health insurance and things like that, and if you're not there for your gig, you lose your spot. So guys like Scott Hall, I mean, these are guys that have made it to mid or very top of the card, and Vince would replace you. I mean, when Ricky the Dragon Steamboat after he won the Intercontinental title, he wanted to spend time with his newborn kid. Vince put the title on the Honky Tonk Man. That's how quickly it happened back in the day. And to 63 years old is not, it's not a spring chicken, but it's not old, it's not elderly
by any means.
Yeah. So yeah, watch these documentaries. I recommend any documentary, even if it's what's the one on Vice, the one that just really can just The Dark Side of the Ring. I mean, it gives a bad taste in your mouth seeing some of this stuff. But when you watch wrestling now, when you watch these guys go through what they go through on the screen, you will have appreciation for them that you just wouldn't have otherwise. So, and like I said, Scott Hall was one of the most influential people. Like I was saying before, one of the for a guy who never held a major world title, he still found a way to be one of the most influential players. Where is wrestling without Bash at Your Beat 1996? I see. I have an audio clip of yours I'd love sharing. Ooh, yeah. Well, I'll get with you, Vince. I'm still a novice on how to do all this, so Lord knows what will happen if I try to do it on this stream.
If you got Twitter, Vince, DM me.
Okay, yeah.
And I'll put it up.
I promise you I will screw it up. But yeah, NWO, Bash at the Beach, 1996. The entire thing.
Thanks for the super chat, bud.
Thank you, by the way. Where I was in the mid 90s as far as wrestling goes, it just wasn't the same after that. I mean, a lot of the things, it changed the trajectory of the WWF, even though it was happening somewhere else. The Bullet Club, which you see right now, is a big homage to what they were. So, gone too soon, 1963, and seeing Kevin Hart, not Kevin Hart, wow. Kevin Nash, seeing Kevin Nash, that's a big 3 feet height difference. Seeing Kevin Nash's tribute to him just as he was about to pass, because he knew what was going to happen, was hard. I couldn't even read the whole thing. I was going to put it on here, but I just couldn't read it. So, but R.I.P. Scott Hall. I mean, like I said, he will be missed. Him and everybody else. Him and Dusty Rhodes.
A true legend.
Just the way he went out too. I mean, just that he's getting just a pretty regular hip surgery.
Routine.
He has 3 heart attacks in a row.
Yeah. But when your health is on the edge like that, it's like Joan Rivers. Joan Rivers went in for plastic surgery and ended up dying. when your health is fragile, surgery becomes more and more dangerous every time I'm finding. And I'm like, wow. But that one was heartbreaking because, like I said, it's just everyone. It's different when they're in their 80s and 90s, but when they still got, you know, kids to be with, when they still got grandchildren to see, and you know, when you've spent 20, 30 years in this game and you don't get that another 20, 30 years to enjoy showing up to the shows, showing up, and you know, he got to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, and I thought that was great. But there's just a lot of things that you miss out on when you go that early. So rest in peace, Scott Hall. RJ, you were popped in later. Do you watch Discovery?
No, I don't. It's one of those shows I got to get into. It's just one of those things that's kind of evaded me a little bit. So
whatever. I'm just kidding. So we discussed the season finale, Picard, episode 3, Assimilation.
Yeah.
Brian.
Once again, I saw things that would piss old Trek fans off, but I soldiered on. No, it was pretty good. I liked it a lot. I really like what Agnes decided to do. That was clever. Yeah, no, the reference to Star Trek 4, you know, with the going backwards situation. All right.
It's hard to talk. We need to do a spoiler review because it's hard to talk. I know I'm trying to get people to watch this show, but I don't want to jam it up for them.
It's tough.
Well, I noticed they brought the Borg Queen back from First Contact.
It's not the same actress, but yeah.
Not Alice Krieg, but it is the same type, and it's different.
The Borg Queen is like Venom, basically. Okay.
This is a different Borg encounter than what we've seen before. I'm trying not to give too much away, but it's a different feel than the Voyager ones. It's a different feel than obviously the Next Generation cast get into. How are you finding those differences, Brian?
It's meaningless to me. Well, as far as like the differences between Borg Queens, wasn't the mom from the Arrow the other Borg Queen?
I can't remember. You're talking about the one from
Susanna Thompson. She was the Borg Queen in Unimatrix Zero.
What about the interaction with the Borg differences between? Because I find some. You didn't think I thought it.
I thought it was interesting seeing the differences between like Alice Krieg, because she was just like in First Contact. We had no idea who she was, you know,
that she was to begin with. I thought.
We had no idea, you know. So it's really interesting to see like a different take, knowing what we know now about the Borg as opposed to what we knew before Voyager. Because before Voyager, we didn't know anything about the Borg. It was just, you know, they're the Borg. They assimilated Captain Picard. All right, here we go.
Because they even had their own feature film when we found out more about them from Voyager with Unimatrix Zero, the transwarp hubs that they had that ultimately led to them getting home. Spoiler alert, it's been 20 years. You guys need to watch the show. But yeah, I enjoyed Picard. The alternate universe stuff is I'm not feeling it right now. That's the
we'll have to wait and see kind of deal. I'm not opposed to you know, that kind of stuff in Star Trek. Okay, so here is what that dude Vince was gonna send.
I think I'm gonna regret this, but okay.
All right, here we go.
Star Trek scenario, and please, everybody who's doing any science fiction, learn from Star Trek. Learn from what old Trek fan almost did to Star Trek. Old Trek fan almost snuffed the life out of Star Trek, and we went over a decade without Star Trek on TV because producers and film companies and all that, you know, they looked at old Trek fan and like, you guys are a buffalo going off a cliff, and you're not going to take our dollars with you. So we'll wait until we can get somebody who can just break the mold and do whatever he wants to. And people can say what they want about J.J. Abrams. There's no current Star Trek without J.J. Abrams breaking.
Oh, guaranteed.
There is
guaranteed.
no current Star Trek.
It was dead with Enterprise.
An old Trek fan killed it. Old Trek fan took his really tight shirt and he wrapped it around the neck of Trek and choked the life out of it. Ruined Star Trek Enterprise, which could have been one of their better shows. But the producers were so weak at the time, and old Trek fan was louder than anybody else. Guys like me who am an old Trek fan was watching the show. I didn't feel the need to scream and change my diaper in public. But old Trek fan was louder than me, and he won out, and we ended up with a screwed up ending of Enterprise and no Trek until the mid 2000s. So I would hope that Star Trek doesn't get caught up in such nostalgia that they can't move on to something bright and new. I mean, how many times am I going to see Luke, Leia, and Chewie and different actors playing them and putting computer faces on these guys? Is the universe that small?
Yeah.
I agree with me. I agree 100% with me. And that's it's hard to go through that because that was a long 12 years, and you knew why you were there during that 12-year voyage. You knew why you were there because we would talk, as we were building our relationships with these local places and these studios and all that. And you start, making friends. You're like, no one wanted to deal with us. We were like, it was like a diamond covered in a ball of shit. Yeah, there's a diamond there, but do you really want to stick your fingers in and dig through all this shit to get to this?
No. Very true.
And it just became bad. And I see Star Wars going in that same direction in some cases, and for worse reasons. Star Wars goes in that direction because they can't let go of a certain era. And me and Enoch go on this to the point where we're breathing flames between Vegas and Detroit, pretty much, or because the nostalgia is become a noose, and it chokes the life out of things because we can't go on. We're dealing with Obi-Wan. He's like, "You're not interested in Obi-Wan." I'm like, "Not really." I mean, I'm pretty sure
it's gonna be fun, but if you were to ask me, like, "Hey, you're gonna plan out what we're gonna see from Star Wars for the next 5 years. What do you want to see?" I would. My bet wouldn't have been Kenobi. Like it'd been all right. I love the fact that Ewan McGregor's back. I mean, he really embodied that role in the prequels, and it's good to see him back. And not only that, but this is something I wish we would have seen in the sequel trilogy. Hayden Christensen. Okay. Star Wars was like the double-edged sword that killed his career, but now it's like that other edge of the sword is kind of swinging back, and it's like, hey, remember Hayden Christensen, guys?
Yeah.
He's Darth Vader, and I think that the more they embrace that aspect of it, that's what I'm excited for. I knew Ewan McGregor was going to come back, but he quit acting because of how people treated him for the prequels.
Jumper, and that was it. He did Jumper and then he disappeared, like got married, had kids, and then that was it. With Rachel Bilson, by the way. Nice. Hey man, good score. The thing of, and then I got the same way. I feel the same way about Cassian Andor and the Andor that CB. Listen, the most meaningful thing that character is ever going to do, I've already seen it.
Yeah. He was a big part of getting those Death Star plans.
Exactly. So how can I get emotionally invested in him again?
I haven't figured out though. If they continue from the end of Bad Batch, like if we start exploring the Grogu side of things, I want to find out what happened to Grogu during the period of the Empire. Who got him from the temple? Like, how did he get out? Plus what's in that mountain? Why are all the cloners going there? I want to find out about Snoke and the contingency plan to keep the Emperor alive. That's the stuff that keeps me interested about that era. You know what I mean? It adds more context, and that's fine. But
Yeah,
I don't want to see this. I'm with you though. I don't want to see the same characters just thrown back at you. But it's like, hey, it's Obi-Wan Kenobi's back. He's gonna fight Darth Vader again. I'm like,
or that era. I'm as tired of the characters as I am of the era. Like, even if they're not on the screen, if you're giving me in the same era, I mean, I'll watch it because I'm a sci-fi geek, and how can I have a Star Wars section and you come in and ask me if I've seen Kenobi or these other movies? I'll watch it. I'll go through the motions, but I would rather see, like somebody put in the chat, Knights of the Old Republic. Let's go back 1,000 years or go ahead 1,000 years. You're telling me this is long, long ago in a galaxy far, far away. Let's go really, really far. You know, give me something that is not attached to a Skywalker or attached to that backyard that the Skywalkers, go around in, that's all. I mean, Star Trek is for all of its faults, Star Trek, we're all over the place with Star Trek. We're 1,000 years from normal Star Trek.
We've got like 3 different timelines running all at the same time.
Yeah, and we got alternate timelines. We got altering timelines because, like I said, Strange New Worlds is going to alter the timeline. Once again, he knows previous Pike did not know of his fate. There's no way that's not going to affect him or going to affect his decision making or going to affect what about the cadets he saves? He knows he's supposed to save all. I mean, there's, it's like so I'm interested. I'm intrigued about that. I'm getting a guy whose fate I ultimately know, but they've added a caveat that tells me that fate is not certain. The fact that he knows it means that it's not certain. So we could get, whereas I know Pike ends up on the planet, with the illusions and everything else, but this might change all that. And I'm okay with them changing Pike's trajectory because I think he met a tragic end, and I don't think we ever got enough mileage. And now we got an actor like Anson Mount that can play him like this,
Yeah.
So
it's one of the shows I've been looking forward to the most over the last year, besides Picard season 2. So,
yeah, we got Moon Knight coming up. We got a lot of stuff coming up. We have
Doctor Strange is coming out soon. Ugh.
Doctor Strange. Batman is at 500 million. I don't think it's going to make $1 billion. I think that the 509 million that it has made right now is phenomenal, given what it is, given that it is a much darker movie, given that it's a 2-hour and 55-minute movie, given the fact that it's not going to get a strong release in China because a lot of the theaters are closed, given the fact that this is just not the Batman for certain individuals. It was for me, but so for it to do it, and like I've always said, its true value is on HBO Max. Yeah, the theaters are making money, but I've explained this before. My opinion is that when you can put that movie in a format where 100% of the proceeds goes to the studio, and people were like, and they always judge, well, it doesn't, if it didn't increase the subscribers, like they said with Zack Snyder Justice League, well, it didn't increase the subscribers. Okay, first of all, increase is number 2.
Well, see, with that particular one, it wasn't about increasing. Snyder fans bought HBO Max because of it.
Yeah, well, they
laid the base layer. They didn't add to the, they were the base layer of early subscribers. Like, I got it like a week before it came out.
Yeah, I got it on May 20th, so 2020. But retention is the key when it comes to subscribe. Yeah, growth is great. Growth is a priority, but maintaining your subscriber base and keeping movies like the Batman on there and other strong temples on there increases the value of that. And then in some cases it will grow. I do agree that it should have gotten a release. Obviously it did, but and sending it straight to streaming would have been a mistake. But I'm okay with you decreasing the window to 30 days if it gets it on streaming. Because guess what? The second and third times I watch it will be on streaming because I just can't do the 3-hour thing in a movie right now. I did it, when I saw it, and it was tough to fit that in.
It's a big investment. It really is.
Yeah. A lot of people are gonna see that movie on streaming, which is great. I mean, I recommend that you see it in IMAX because the cinematography is great. But speaking of, let's get to I kind of went over this with Chris. Chris Swinson here. Oh, come on. One of these, I'm going to fix one of these things. I'm going to get one of the smooth programs you guys have to like literally transition from everything. It's not in there. Okay. I had it up here before. Just the 1 year anniversary, like it says, Zack Snyder's Justice League. 1 year ago, we were just happy to get it. Now we're kind of months away from going into a universe where some of these characters that were created in that particular universe are going on to some strange, very delayed things. So we're kind of like in the middle, and I think in a happy place, because I agree with I'm glad that things got delayed simply because I didn't think it was appropriate for an outgoing or regime that was going to be not necessarily completely in control to be handling such sensitive projects without the incoming regime, who is going to have to assume all the liability, at least part of the decision making. This time now with these delays, it sucks because you want to see these movies sooner than later, but it gives them a chance to reevaluate things and possibly make them better. Like I was making fun of the whole Blue Beetle thing. Blue Beetle sounds retarded and or stupid right now. I shouldn't use that word. It sounds stupid on an island on itself. True. But as part of a game plan, it's like, okay, we're going to put Blue Beetle here, and we're going to use Beetle to tell this story. We're going to connect this to Blue Beetle, and we're going to, as a standalone, Blue Beetle is a design failure. I'm sorry, it's just not going to, especially in the theater. But if it is in the context of a narrative, creativity, then you can do something. And I think this 6 months might give them a chance to recalibrate and reconnect a lot of these announced projects and piece them together to where they have momentum. Because right now, superheroes movies are nothing without momentum. That $500 million that the Batman made, that goes in somebody else's pocket. It's gone. What's next? And right now we don't know when the Batman 2 is coming. And so I want a slate that makes it to where whenever I leave, whatever DC movie I'm leaving, I have some kind of momentum going in. I'm okay with standalone movies, but standalone movies, and that being it, no way. You have to have a shared universe. That is the comic book way before the MCU. That is the comic book way. 63% of all DC characters were derived from either a Superman or a Justice League or a Batman or associated book. Those group of characters generated most of your villains and most of your A, B, and C characters. So that only makes sense that once you get into the big screen, that would play out. So I'm hoping that this 6 months is them basically throwing everything on the table and then moving them into position like Monopoly pieces of. So
well, I just hope they try to like fix/maintain a continuity going forward that suits everybody. Like, like I said, as long as we're still getting the characters and the spirit, I don't care who directs the damn thing.
Neither do I. I mean, my first choice obviously would be him, but guess what?
Of course. But like, if he's not busy or if he's busy doing something else or, it's just not in the cards, I don't care. I just want to see the continuing adventures of Henry Cavill's Superman.
Yeah.
Be it
the tone for
whatever.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. That's true. Yeah. But I mean,
other people can adapt that tone.
I would be all right with maybe a bit of a lighter tone. I would be okay with a James Gunn take on a Superman. Okay.
I said that before, and I was in the chat or on the screen, and everybody's like, "No, don't let him touch him." And I'm like, "Why not? Why not?
Take it easy." I'm telling you, why not? As long as it's Henry Cavill, give it to me. I just don't want to see the character recast right now because, dude, what? 3 movies, 2.5 movies, of Superman,
and he's hot right now.
Yes,
he's probably one of the hottest actors.
That's the other thing. Like strike while the iron's hot. Like,
yeah,
get him.
He looks great. He looks great, and people want him. And the thing about the James Gunn situation is, people think that they see what James Gunn has done, and they automatically assume that that's it. That's the reasoning I give is like, okay, well, Jonathan Demme was a romantic comedy type guy, but yet he found a way to direct one of the greatest science fiction horror movies, or not science fiction, horror movies, in Silence of the Lambs. Well, did you see anything that would lead you to think that he could direct Hannibal Lecter from Married from the Mob or any of these other things that he did? Yeah, you couldn't. So to me, a storyteller is a storyteller. You have the basic nuts and bolts of storytelling. Now, has anybody asked James Gunn to do something like that? And would he make that adjustment? That's a question that's yet to be answered. But I don't think he's so talentless that he cannot, that he couldn't give you a good Superman story under the right parameters. And it would all be up to him and up to the story, you know? So I'm all for a lighter tone. I think the biggest thing for me, now that we're at a year out and having seen the nightmare scenarios and seen the other alternate reality, I need to see the end of that.
Well,
and then we can move on. It will
True.
be so much easier for me to move on. I need to see the Joker. I need to see that Joker Leto. I need to see that confrontation between the Batman, Ben Affleck's Batman, and him. I need to see the Harley Quinn situation. I need to see that final battle on Earth where they drive the forces of Apocalypse off of Earth. I need to see that. I don't need to see 20, 30 more Snyder type films. Much as I love the tone, I just want that sword that's been hanging over my head since 2000, whatever, to be complete. You complete that, give me a lighter-hearted, I don't know how lighthearted you go. I want to see Brainiac. I would love to see if they could mix up the realities and take that Brainiac that was in Krypton, because I loved Krypton. I thought Krypton got stepped on. The Brainiac that's in Krypton was awesome.
See, that's something I wish they would do. And this is something that Star Trek has done, and I think it's a good model. Okay, like if you have something kick-ass on TV, maybe instead of doing like this crazy crossover thing on TV, why don't you put it on the big screen?
Yeah. Even if a lot of people didn't watch Krypton, they would if you tied that story to it. They handled Brainiac. I thought, well, they handled Krypton great. I love Krypton, and it made up for the existence of Smallville, which if I had a time machine wouldn't exist, but that's just me. But Krypton was a great show. The world was great. Val Zod, not Val Zod, but General Zod. I got Val Zod on my head because he's right in front of me on this picture. General Zod's character was great. He wasn't the Michael Shannon one, but like I said, two different things. Michael Shannon's General Zod was underrated. Everybody thinks Terrence Stamp. I grew up with him, kneel before Zod. He's probably one of the top 100 greatest. But Michael Shannon made me feel Zod's pain. I wanted to kick Terrence Stamp's ass because he's a villain.
Yeah,
but
right.
The Zod in Man of Steel, when he's after everything is destroyed, and he says everything I did was for the protection of Krypton. Every evil I did was for the protection of my people. Now, he has this dust in his head. Now I have no people. And he's like, we could have created a paradise here, but you out of this scarlet, but you chose humans. I could relate more to him because this is a man. What would happen if the human race was, what would we do to preserve the human race, to preserve our fellow? We don't know. I mean, it sounds easy, but we've never been confronted with the things he was confronted with. So I found him as a much more relatable villain. Let's see who's in the. I gotta get used to doing this one. Yeah, Shannon did nail it. He's a great actor. Let's see who else is Toronto Freddy. Second season of Krypton is now available on Crave. You're in Canada. Okay. I've always wanted. Crave is, I guess, their version of what we have on Netflix and some of the streaming services. I mean, it's this. Okay, what's this? I like Young Ripper, but he's delusional about his Rippaverse. I don't know which one is that. Question. Oh, okay. Comic reference. Okay, let's see. Yeah, I do. The only thing about this whole being on any of these things is I hate the way my voice sounds. I sound like a cross between the Cookie Monster and Kermit. And whenever I hear my own voice, that's why I'm like, oh, geez. I mean, when you hear yourself talking, it doesn't sound like that. But when I hear myself play it back, I'm horrified. I'm like, oh, geez. That's why I'm gonna alter my voice.
Or when I have a slightly ornery night and you go back and listen, and you're just like, oh, did I really say that in front of people? Oh my God. All right.
Yeah.
So I got that out there.
Yeah. HBO Max is the best streaming service. I have them all.
It's up there.
Amazon. I have Apple. What do you think is the best one?
Now, currently it's Hulu, but I'm on like an old TV show kick right now. So Hulu is usually one of the better ones for old TV shows.
See, I have Hulu because I have the bundle with ESPN, Disney Plus, and Hulu. That little 12.99 is probably going to go up.
I like the ESPN because of the 30 for 30s.
Ooh, yeah.
Those are my favorite.
And then they have the little short ones. They have the little. You seen the little short
The
ones?
E60s, yeah. I like the one with Barry Bonds. Yeah.
Yeah, Barry Bonds
was
who
timely.
should be in the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
The Hall of Fame is becoming more meaningless by the year.
Well, okay. First off, let's just say the Baseball Writers Association of America. How many of them actually played the game?
Not very many.
Okay, and they all get to vote.
Yeah. Listen. I know I don't necessarily want something where fans are doing the voting, but here's the thing.
Players should vote.
If you're going to put in Mike Piazza, who was a Dodger for me, but was under suspicion for steroids, never proven, but some of these guys you're keeping out were never proven. And some of the guys that you've let in, that never came up on anybody's report. And also, if you're going to talk about the 90s, if we're going to take drug use and anything out of whether a person or player belongs in a Hall of Fame, you're going to have to kick out a lot of people, because during the 80s, there was every other player was on cocaine, green, all that stuff. So when it comes time for Dwight Gooden, does he not get in?
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes time, you're going to put
Darryl
Gary
Strawberry.
Carter. Yeah, rest in peace, Gary Carter. But Gary Carter's numbers don't match up to some of the other guys that are being kind of Pete Rose. And then this is another situation, banned from baseball. All right, ban him from baseball, but
hypocrisy.
Yeah, 4,000 hits is 4,000 hits. And now we have gambling apps that are sponsored by Major League Baseball. So I have a problem with the Hall of Fame.
Revisionism. Well, it's like you get some of the most vile people in history.
Ty Cobb. Ty Cobb is a racist. Ty Cobb was an
avid racist.
All right, he's in, and he deserves to be in.
No question. I mean, he was one of the had the most hits until Pete Rose came along.
Yeah. Joe Jackson was banned for life for the Black Sox scandal, right? Now, I haven't looked up recently in the news, but I believe Joe Jackson is dead. So if it was a lifetime ban, shouldn't he be in the Hall of Fame? He's just not an afterlife ban. I mean, I don't know. It's
no, and the fact that well, I'm sorry, I'm a little biased because I'm a Giants fan, but Barry Bonds' swing is why he has the home run record.
Yeah,
I will argue if his steroids prolonged his career, it gave him another decade.
Yeah,
same thing with Roger Clemens.
See, here's the thing: both of those guys are Hall of Famers before they even if we want to say, for argument's sake, Roger Clemens and all these guys are on it. 1986 alone is enough to push Roger Clemens halfway to the Hall of Fame. Barry Bonds was in the Hall of Fame, should have been in the Hall of Fame in 1993 before he was
as a freaking Pirate, man.
Yeah,
two MVPs in a row.
I mean, he had batting titles and everything else, and I understand he wouldn't have been able to prolong his career. Okay, then cut off that part of his career that you think is in question, and you still have a Hall of Famer.
400 club. Okay.
Yeah. Stolen bases before he bulked up. He was one of the leading base stealers. And I hate Barry Bonds because he's a Giant, but
of course, you understand, you respect what was. The thing about it is the all-time hypocrisy. Okay. The writers, the owners, the managers, they all knew that their players were on something. Okay.
Yeah, it's the problem. The problem.
Turnstiles were humming. Yeah. The government got involved and said, "Hey guys, what are you doing?"
Yeah, and Sammy Sosa didn't speak English anymore.
The home run chase brought baseball back from the depths because after the strike, nobody gave a rat's about baseball. It was just nothing. So the home run chase, fueled by steroids, Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa.
Now we live in an era where most of these supplements and most of these things are used. A couple things have been changed here or there, and you can buy them from all kinds of places, and most of the guys are using them. Modern science has pretty much pushed that around. Yeah, anabolic stuff like that, but we got other stuff. We got other stuff that's still giving them the performance enhancements. And so
really.
What happened? Enosh,
bro.
Is that him? If there's anybody who should have been kept out of the Hall of Fame, it's guys like Bud Selig and some of the owners. Barry Bonds,
Robert Manfred.
Exactly. Yeah, and when the Astros cheated, you basically let them walk for nothing. So you have people who will literally cost you a World Series in '94. The strike cost you a World Series. Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire, Sammy Sosa, none of those guys cost me a World Series. Pete Rose didn't cost me a World Series.
Barry Bonds built the stadium that my Giants play in right now.
Yeah, Pete Rose. I mean, you could say whatever you want about Pete Rose. Pete Rose, who hurt the game more, Pete Rose or Bud Selig? You could make a better argument that some of these owners should be banned from baseball. You know what? Can't we time him out? No, don't time him out. That'd be hilarious.
I don't think we can, to be honest.
Yeah, I think he's in here.
No,
but yeah,
it's you Dodger fans, I swear.
Hey man, you know what? We got ripped off last year. We didn't get ripped
off.
No,
it was because every time Barry Bonds would come down to LA, he'd put 3 in the stands a night. So,
or unless we just walked him. At some point, we just walked him.
That was true.
There were times when Barry Bonds, they would walk in or run rather than pitch to him. Do you remember those days?
True.
The bases would be loaded.
And they would, yeah, I'll take Jeff Kent.
Yeah, they would just go ahead and walk him, score, give up the run rather than give up either the grand slam or give up the 3 that were on the bases for a bases clearing triple. At which point he could, But yeah, it's a pain in the ass to watch baseball do some of the things that they've done, and what they're doing is they're making themselves irrelevant to a younger generation with each dumb thing that they do, because it's really not a national sport.
Did you hear about the new rules? They're going to fundamentally change the game by widening home plate.
Well, I think that got canned for now, didn't they? Didn't they can that one for now? I know that was on the plate. The one thing that they need to do is make it so that what happened with the Atlanta Braves never happens again. I'm sorry, the Braves did not deserve to be world champions, and I'm going to tell you why. Not just because I was a Dodger fan. I would say this for the Giants fans too. All right, the Braves won 88 games last year. All right, they basically half-assed it to a crappy division. The Dodgers and the Giants had to keep pace with each other.
Slugged it out the whole year.
Yeah, wore themselves into the ground, and then went through an epic 5-game series where they beat the hell out of each other, expended their rotations, expended everything. No matter who made it through that series was going to be at a disadvantage.
Made Buster Posey retire.
Yeah, it happened to be the Dodgers who ended up getting screwed out of home field. I'm not putting you.
That sucks.
I'm not putting you down, Sean. There we go. There we go.
Home run king.
But
Barry Bonds has no place in the Hall of Fame.
Hold on, I'm you. But you went 100 and some odd games, and then have to go fly to Atlanta to face an 88 win team.
Yeah,
and no matter even if it'd been the Giants who
the Giants wouldn't have won either.
The Giants would have been extended. We spent each other, and then they went on in their
without performance-enhancing drugs taking Barry Bonds.
So ignore the voice in the lower end of
no, he's got a point, but the problem is that if you want to talk about collusion, the league was colluding with everybody that was behind the scenes about steroids. Yeah. So like them, love them or not,
who could have passed?
They knew that the home runs were bringing in money.
Yeah, they were okay with it.
They were okay with it. So by nature of that, other than the baseball writers,
they had their time, they got their fame, they got to break their records, and they can have their asterisks just sucked on now.
Well, no, I mean that's fine.
Put an asterisk on everybody. You're going to have to put an asterisk on everybody then.
Not everybody. Not everybody. Not Hank Aaron. Hank Aaron wasn't doing none of that.
Okay, so you have 30 years of baseball where nobody was getting tested. Half those guys, you cannot tell me you can't single out Barry Bonds and Alex, all these guys.
Did you
without
see the size of Barry Bonds' head? I can single out Barry Bonds in a crowd of hippos.
But there's other things. There's other types of steroids that there's guys that were not big that were getting popped for steroids after the fact. All right, getting banned for 80 games. So just because
they weren't doing it right,
but they were still doing
it. They were doing they were getting people for creatine supplement. You could buy it at General Nutrition stores. Like
which was a
that
bad
was
subject. What about the guys in the early '90s who were snorting up the line that were on cocaine?
Rose is a completely different story.
Pete Rose was hypocrisy
well,
at its
that's different.
finest.
Yeah, we were just talking about the
with
overall
baseball.
hypocrisy.
Yeah,
Pete Rose got screwed over. Pete Rose never bet on his team to lose. He didn't bet on stuff where he had power over being able to control what happened in the game.
Yeah.
He
never
didn't do
fixed
that.
games. He never proved that he fixed games. So yeah, I think he should
Exactly.
be in. But yeah, but as far as the steroid era, either don't put anybody in from that era, period, because you can't prove. How are you going to prove? Albert Pujols claims up and down, and I have no proof to say Albert Pujols does otherwise. But all you had to do in a certain era is say, well, that guy looks bigger than he did before, or that guy, because Albert Pujols bulked up a lot. But
bro, his rookie year, he was scrawny.
Yeah, but guess what? There's these things called gyms. So if he did it legitimately, but there's a suspicion, do I keep him out? No, right? Mike Piazza
he was on a team with Mark McGuire.
Yeah, Mark McGuire, Piazza had back acne. Remember when they were interviewing him, when everybody's like, look at the rashes on his back. That's a sign of steroids. All it took was that steroid allegation to deny him for a while, because he should have been in sooner with his numbers. So when it comes to that, either determine, if you could not determine what the playing field was at the era you're deciding, then you cannot keep people out based on your suspicions and half-ass testings. When now post that standard, yeah. After you've established, and you're suspending people and you're testing everybody and people are getting suspended for 60, 80, and 162 games, now we can talk. But in a Wild West era, you're trying to determine who has bullets and who was robbing banks when everybody was. I'm sorry, it's just not fair. Like I said, I can't stand Barry Bonds just because it's a symbol that he wore on his forehead, on his hat. But fair is fair. You can't do what they've done with him and Roger Clemens and some of these other guys when you weren't doing that at the time. I said,
my main argument with baseball is that, does anybody know what the clean ball era is?
Yeah, exactly. There are guys in the Hall of Fame that admittedly cheated, scuffing up the ball, and explain, and during their Hall of Fame ceremonies are bragging about it. They're cheating, and they
Gaylord
get
Perry.
Is Correa? Are any of the Astros, if they go other places and put up historic numbers, all those guys are going to get in the Hall of Fame. Correa's going to get in the Hall of Fame, and they cheated. They cheated in a World Series that affected the outcome of a World Series and an ALCS. They should have been banned, but you're going to let those guys play? Pete Rose can't get in, and other guys can't get in under suspicion, but the Astros cheated. They cheated. They got caught cheating. People got fired. People got fined for them cheating.
So I'm breaking up in a horrible area, and I was out for that last part of the conversation. So I'll just say my last final thing: Barry Bonds, absolutely not. Mark McGuire, no. Jose Canseco, no. All those guys, no. I don't care how many home runs they hit. I don't care how many butts they put in the seats.
Then you're going to have to shut down the Hall of Fame. Shut down the Hall of Fame.
My argument to that is we wouldn't be talking about baseball right now if it wasn't for the steroids. So,
standard correct.
And you're going to have to ban the owners too. Ban every owner that.
Well, you know what? I don't have a problem necessarily with that either. I don't have a problem with that. But I agree with Brian. Like this whole these changes this year are just stupid. Like
true.
Yeah.
All this
the one
stuff
change I do want,
the base is bigger and making home plate bigger and putting a pitch clock on the pitcher and now getting rid of pitchers hitting and all this stuff.
Out. They're scrapping that for this year.
I'm sick of all this nonsense. I mean, we've had to deal with these like softball rules, like I'm playing, like against, guys and in a church league or something like that, where it's like, oh, if it goes into extra innings, you got to put a runner on second base with one out. Stop this nonsense. This is professional baseball.
What is this, beer league?
And here's the thing.
Get off my lawn.
You want to talk baseball? Listen, if you want to talk baseball, you get Isaac on. Isaac knows every stat. Isaac knows every player. Isaac will talk your ear off and will absolutely impress you with his knowledge of baseball. But him and I talked about this whole week. We talked about this whole week. Here's the whole point.
Isaac Kenobi.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Here's the whole point. There ain't nothing that they're going to do to change the sport or change the rules that's going to bring anybody in who's not already in watching baseball.
True.
They're not going to make it more exciting unless you put alligators on the field. Remember roller games when they had the gator skaters?
That was hilarious.
Anyways, that was in the 80s. But no, I'm saying like it was a joke. But I'm serious. Like you ain't gonna do nothing that's like gonna make it extreme baseball. I mean, you know what I mean? Like it's not gonna make anybody else, because here's the thing. You know what gets people in the seat? A winning team. That's what it does. Look at the teams that win. They literally go from nobody in the stands to all of a sudden everybody's in the stands. Their whole city has baseball fever. You put a crappy team on the field, guess what? Everybody's complaining about how long the games are because the games are stupid and boring and you're losing. Widening the bases ain't going to put people in the seats. Putting pitch clocks on ain't going to put people in the seats. There ain't no rules like that that's going to put people in the seats. It's not that. It's winning. Put a winning team on the field and you'll get people in the seats. Period. That's it.
Some of the stuff that I do want them to change.
Because I'm in the car and my phone sucks.
Yeah.
And,
All right, man. See you later on night.
Later, bud.
The one rule change I do want to change is, like we were talking about before, the playoff format. Number one, the top two teams should not play each other in an opening round. They shouldn't play each other until the NACS. If you won 100 and some odd games, first or second, you should not face the other 100 team in the first round. That should be
by virtue of a wild card.
Yeah, the wild card. Even if the Dodgers were the wild card, there should be some stipulation that prevents those two teams from playing each other. They got to fix that. They had some other rules that they were going to do to fix that, but I think that, like I said, the Atlanta Braves faced the Milwaukee Brewers, and they were, however great the Brewers season was, they were not the Giants, they were not the Dodgers, and those teams had to bludgeon each other in order to get there. So, and the Braves took advantage. And their closer, one of their closers, or middle relief guys, was bragging. He was saying that we shouldn't be celebrating the 2020 because it was in the bubble. I'm like, listen, jackass, your ass particular. I think it was Brian something. He got lit up in the bubble when they were up 3-1 and the Dodgers came back and beat them. They wouldn't be talking about it being a bubble championship if they won. Everybody wants to knock these championships that were run under these circumstances because they lost. Of course. So yeah, I think that's hilarious. But like I said, I think now they're mad. They gave up Freddie Freeman and they signed Olsen for the same type of money that Freddie Freeman, who is a better overall player. So yeah, I don't get what they're doing. So I'm looking forward to beating the hell out of them, even more so than I am the Giants, because the Giants, that rivalry is just it was.
It's a given. By birth.
The Braves have earned my hatred and indemnity with what I call a counterfeit championship. So, but that's okay. Now Freddie Freeman's on the right team. He gets to rent a real one, and we'll be good there. But hey, before we go, does anybody in the chat have any questions for me? I don't even know,
that dude Vince has a question. Who are our favorite college basketball teams? I don't really have one, to be perfectly honest.
If I have one, it's going to be UNLV because I have access to them. I'm out here and I watch them. I mean, I'm from Los Angeles, but like I said, I was never really into college basketball when I was growing up there. I've been here since 1993, and the Rebels are. Before there was any pro sport teams out here, the UNLV Running Rebels were the pro team. I moved out here just after they'd won their national championship and after they'd made the Final Four, and they were still a pretty good team. And then sanctions and all this other stuff happened. But so if I had to pick a team, I would pick the team that I kind of have access to as far as that goes.
Yeah, I was going to say, go Pack, go. Oh,
Reno?
UNR.
Hey, Reno actually was pretty good, right? With Eric Musselman, right? For a while.
Yeah, they were Sweet 16 the last couple of years. So
yeah, and then he went. Where did he go? Is he still there? I think he left, but he was making a lot of money and Reno doesn't have a lot of money, and he was making a lot of money because I know he's a pro level coach. He pros for Golden State Warriors at one time. So he was a head coach there. Let's see. Am I missing anybody? Is that your nephew?
Yeah.
Right, cool. Well, nobody's got any questions. I'm going to go ahead and this has actually been my longest show. But like I said, one of my most important shows just because of the way we sort of got it started off with the AFSP. lady. If you weren't watching that stream at the beginning and you just came on at the end, hi, Brian's nephew. Go back and listen to that stream. Go back, take a look at the resources that we put in there for you. I will try to put some in the chat or in the description and on all of our social media. I posted the hotline. I posted the resource hotline. You can donate if you want to, or you can just get help. Like I said, we're talking geek, we're talking Star Trek, we're talking wrestling, we're talking baseball and all this stuff. But like I said, the most important topic I think that I've had since we've been doing this, in the 3 episodes that we've done this show, is that is literally life and death. That can literally change the trajectory of somebody's life, whether they're here one day or not. So watch that. And even if it's not that particular organization, your local organization, and listen to some of the advice you gave about being able to spot the signs and the people around you. If you see something strange, if you see something, if in the most important thing she said is we're not qualified. We're not all qualified. Some of us have had training, some of us hasn't, but we're not doctors, we're not psychiatrists. If you can't handle it, get that person some help or get the advice of somebody to get that person some help. All right, Brian.
All right. That was fun.
Thanks for coming on. And we'll probably more than likely see each other in a few hours on that crazy old man who was just here and left with his grumpy taste on the Hall of Fame in a couple hours. If I have the energy, I've been drained allergies, and
I'll probably be in bed by then.
You got to get up early in the morning.
Yeah. My weekends are open, so yeah.
Oh wow! So I'll probably see you tonight. You can't resist the gaze of Enosh.
I don't know. I might be able to.
All right, man.
All right, man. Take it easy. Y'all have a good one.
And thanks for Chris Juan Swinson. Thanks to Kimberly Brokups of a local chapter of American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Thanks for Brian for stopping by. Enosh for intruding. It's his network. And RJ for the brief time he was able to come in. And we will see you guys next week. Next week's show is going to be different time, 6:30 p.m. Pacific time instead of 5 p.m. So thank you, and see you on the other side.